My husband told me, "You're old now," and left the room. Just then, my phone rang. When the caller's name appeared on the screen, I was transported back 30 years. Some words, once spoken, cannot be taken back, but some phone calls change everything. If this story touched your soul, click subscribe and let me know in the comments which city or country you're listening from. I'm genuinely curious to know where you're watching from. I'm grateful to everyone who comments. My name is Margaret, Margaret Ann Whitmore. I'm 63 years old and live in Middlebury, a small town in Vermont. It's a place known for the scent of pine trees, the colorful dance of autumn leaves, and quiet streets. One of those old-fashioned American towns where everyone knows everyone else, where neighbors drop in on each other without knocking. I've been married for 28 years, to Richard Whitmore. He's a real estate agent. I'm a retired elementary school teacher. From the outside, it looks like a perfect life. A 2-story white wooden house, a well-kept garden, going to church on Sunday mornings, gathering every year for Thanksgiving. But no one looks behind our curtains. No one sees how Richard has been looking at me for the past 3 years. Or maybe they don't want to see. I was in the kitchen this afternoon. I was preparing dinner. Chicken casserole, Richard's favorite. Old songs were playing on the radio, a light jazz tune. I was lost in the melody when Richard came home. His tie was loose, a tired look on his face. "Hi, honey," I said, smiling. "How was your day?" He didn't answer. He went straight to the fridge, took out a beer, and opened it. Then he turned to me. There was something in his eyes, a coldness, perhaps a distance that had been there for a long time but I had ignored. "Margaret," he said. The tone of his voice stopped me. I put my hand on the counter. "What is it?" "I talked to Jennifer at the office today," he said. Jennifer was his new assistant. 29 years old, long legs, bright smile. "And I noticed something." "What did you notice?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He brought the beer bottle to his lips, took a sip, and looked at me. "You're old now." The words hung in the air. It was as if someone had punched me in the chest. "What?" My voice was a whisper. "You're old, Margaret. You're not young anymore. When I look at Jennifer, I see energy, freshness. When I look at you, I just see an old woman." Has anyone ever said something like that to you? Someone evaluating you like an object, talking to you as if you've reached the last page of an instruction manual. I froze in that moment. I couldn't speak. Richard shrugged, picked up his beer bottle, and walked into the living room. He turned on the TV and acted as if he hadn't just broken his wife's heart. I stood there in the kitchen. I held onto the counter because my knees were shaking. I tried to hold back my tears, but they wouldn't come. There was just a burning, suffocating anger inside me. And something else. Shame. Shame on myself. Because maybe he was right. What did I see when I looked in the mirror? My hair used to be auburn and full. Now it was thin, gray strands. My face used to be smooth and bright. Now deep lines appeared with every smile. My eyes used to have a sparkle. Now they had a tired, darkened look. Yes, I had aged. But what right did he have to say it? At that moment, my phone rang. At first, I couldn't hear it. The noise in my head was too loud. But the phone kept ringing insistently. I took it out of my bag and looked at the screen. And I will never forget that moment. A name was glowing on the screen. Daniel Ashford. My heart stopped. My breath caught. The world spun for a moment and then settled back into place. But everything was different now. Daniel Ashford. 30 years. I hadn't heard that name in 30 years. I had tried not to think about that name, but now, on the bright phone screen, it was there, as if it had never left. As I stared at the phone, my hand was shaking. Should I answer? Richard's voice came from the living room. He was watching a football game on TV. Laughter, cheering. He was dead to me. But Daniel was never dead to me. What would you do? 30 years later, in the darkest moment of your life, if you got a call from an old love, would you answer? My finger pressed the green button with a trembling movement. Hello? My voice was hoarse, unrecognizable. Silence for a moment. Then that voice came. That voice that, just like 30 years ago, still wrapped around my soul. Margaret, is that really you? My eyes closed. I gripped the counter tighter. Daniel, I said. And as I said that word, it was as if a door opened. An old door. A forgotten, locked, dusty door. But now it was open, and all the memories behind it were pouring out. My God, Margaret, to hear your voice. Words aren't enough. I opened my eyes. The kitchen lights seemed very bright. How did you find my number? It's a long story, she said. There was a smile in her voice. But I did. I know. Maybe I shouldn't have called. Maybe I should have left the past in the past. But I couldn't help myself, Margaret. You just popped into my head today, and I know it's crazy, but I need to see you. Daniel, I'm married. I know, he said. There was sadness in his voice. And I'm sure you're happy, but I just want to see your face once more. I want to talk, that's all, I swear. My head was spinning. This couldn't be real. It had to be a dream. But Daniel's voice was so real, and that voice stirred things in me. Where are you? I asked. I'm in Burlington, he said. Only half an hour away. Tomorrow, can we meet at a cafe tomorrow afternoon? Just for an hour. Please, Margaret. Burlington, Vermont's largest city, only half an hour's drive from Middlebury. I took a deep breath. At that moment in your life, when your heart and mind are at war, what would you do? Okay, I said. Tomorrow at 3. Which cafe? The Muddy Waters Cafe on Chapel Street. Remember? We used to go there. Did I remember? God, I remembered everything. Okay, I said again. See you tomorrow. Margaret? Yes? Thank you. The phone went dead. I lowered my hand and looked at my phone. The screen was dark, but Daniel's name was still there, as if carved into the glass. Richard's voice came from the living room. Margaret, we're out of beer. Can you get some? I put the phone in my bag. I opened the fridge, took a beer, and went to the living room. Richard was sitting on the couch, staring at the screen. I handed him the beer. He took it without looking at me. Thanks, he said. I went back to the kitchen. The chicken casserole was still in the oven. The timer was ticking. Everything was normal. Everything was the same. But I wasn't. I wasn't the same anymore. I couldn't sleep that night. Richard snored beside me, that big, irregular snoring sound. A sound I had grown accustomed to years ago. But tonight it was unbearable. I got out of bed, went downstairs, and sat in the living room. Moonlight streamed through the window. The big oak tree in the yard swayed gently. Everything was quiet. Daniel Ashford. I closed my eyes and went back 30 years. It was 1995. I was 33 years old. Richard wasn't in my life yet. I lived in Boston, teaching at a small elementary school. Life was hard. I worked at a bookstore in the evenings to pay my rent. But I was hopeful. I was young. And life was still full of endless possibilities. I met Daniel one summer evening. It was at a friend's birthday party on the banks of the Charles River. He was an aspiring architect, had studied at MIT. He was tall, dark-haired, green-eyed, and when he spoke, God, when he spoke, every word was like poetry. Margaret, he said that night, do you like looking at the stars? Yes, I said. I always have. Then come with me. And I did. We walked along the riverbank, looked up at the sky. He showed me star clusters, explained the constellations, shared his dreams. One day I'll design my own building, he said. Not a huge building. Something small and intimate. A place where people can be happy. I'm sure you will, I said. He smiled at me. You'll be my inspiration, Margaret. And that's when it began. Our love, our passion. We were together for 2 years. For 2 years, the world belonged only to us. But then it all ended. Daniel's family called him to California. He had to work for his father's company, and I couldn't hold him back. "Come with me," he said. "Come to California. We'll start a new life there." But I was afraid. My family was in Boston. My job was here. I was afraid of the unknown, and I sent him off and watched him go. I watched him get on the plane. I watched him leave. And then he never called. He never wrote. He disappeared as if he had never existed. Have you ever experienced something like this? Had to leave someone and then spent the rest of your life asking yourself, what if I had gone? 3 years later, I met Richard. He was kind, reliable. He proposed. And I said yes, because Daniel was gone, because life had to go on. But I never forgot Daniel. Not ever. The next day, I left the house at 2 in the afternoon. Richard was at work. I told him I was going shopping. Lying was easy. I'd been telling little lies for years. "I'm fine. I'm happy. No problem." They were all lies. I headed towards Burlington. The weather was beautiful. The sky was blue. The trees were full of autumn colors. But I didn't see any of it. All I could think about was Daniel. Muddy Waters Cafe. It was still there. It was a small, brick-walled, intimate place. When I walked in, the smell of coffee hit me. A few customers were sitting, working on their laptops. A man was sitting in the back corner. Daniel. The moment I saw him, my breath caught. 30 years had passed, but I recognized him. His hair had turned gray. There were lines on his face, but his eyes were the same. Those green, deep eyes. He stood up. "Margaret." I walked slowly toward him. My heart was pounding. I stopped when I reached the table. We looked at each other. "Hello, Daniel," I said. My voice was trembling. "Hello," he said. He smiled. And that smile erased the years. It was as if we had parted yesterday. We sat down. The waiter came. We ordered 2 coffees. Silence fell over the table, but it wasn't an uncomfortable silence, just 2 old lovers rediscovering each other. "How are you?" he finally asked. I don't know," I said honestly. "I don't know how I am." He nodded. "You're married, aren't you?" "Yes, for 28 years. Are you happy?" That was the question. That was the deep, painful question in my heart. I couldn't answer. I just looked at him, and he understood. Daniel put his hand on the table. My fingers were very close to his, but we weren't touching. I didn't dare to touch him. "Your tears are answering," he said softly. I hadn't noticed. The drops running down my cheeks, I quickly wiped them away. "I'm sorry. Don't apologize," he said. "Please, never apologize. I break inside when I see you unhappy, Margaret." Our coffees arrived. We both took the first sip. The hot coffee burned my throat, but I didn't care. I needed the pain. I needed to feel myself, to know this was real. "Why?" I finally asked. "Why didn't you call? Why didn't you write? 30 years, Daniel. 30 years of nothing." She closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. When she opened them again, there was pain in them, the same kind of pain I felt. "Because I was stupid," she said. "Because I was young and scared. When I went to California, my father's company swallowed me up. I worked 12 hours a day. And you were in Boston, living your life. I wanted to call Margaret. Every night I picked up the phone. But then I thought, what could I say to her? Come join me. Leave your life behind? Is that fair? Fair?" My voice rose. A few people in the cafe looked at us, but I didn't care. "You loved me, Daniel. You said you wanted to marry me, and then you disappeared." "I know." His voice was broken. "And that killed me every day. Every day, Margaret. I got married, you know, to a woman named Linda. Our marriage lasted 10 years. But then we divorced. Because when I looked at her, I saw you. I would wake up in the morning and see Linda next to me, but you were always there. In my heart. In my dreams. My tears stopped. I looked into his eyes. If someone told you that even after 30 years, they still couldn't forget you, how would you feel? Anger? Sadness? Or hope? I couldn't forget you either, I whispered. I married Richard because you left, because I was alone, because life had to go on. But I never loved him the way I loved you. Daniel's hand slid across the table and found mine. Our fingers touched. It was like an electric shock. 30 years later, for the first time, I felt his skin. Margaret, he said, I know this is crazy. I know it's wrong. But I want another chance. Another chance with you. My heart stopped. What are you saying? I moved here, to Burlington. I retired from California. I'm starting over here. And the moment I saw you, I knew. You're still there, Margaret. You're still my Margaret. And if you feel the same way. I pulled my hand away. I stood up. Daniel, no. I'm married. I have Richard. I have a life. A life where you're happy? He asked. He stood up. Or just a life where you exist? That was the question. That was the big, scary question in my heart. I don't know, I said. I don't know, Daniel. But I can't do this. 30 years have passed. People change. You haven't changed, he said. You're still the same woman. I see it in your eyes. That sparkle. It's still there. I shook my head. I have to go. I headed for the door, but Daniel called after me. Margaret, wait. I turned around. Please, he said. Just think about it. 1 week. Think about it for 1 week. Then decide. But don't decide right away, because it will affect the rest of your life. I didn't answer. I just went outside. I got in the car. And I cried. I cried for a long time. When I got home, Richard was in front of the TV. Another sports game. He didn't turn his head when he heard me. How was the shopping? He asked. Fine, I said. I hadn't bought anything. I came back empty-handed. But Richard didn't notice. He never did. I went upstairs, into the bedroom, and looked in the mirror. That old woman was looking back at me again. Gray hair, lined face, tired eyes. But now, something was different. There was a sparkle in my eyes. The sparkle Daniel talked about. Because he had seen me, not just as an old woman, as Margaret, as me. Have you ever felt that? The moment someone sees you, the real you, and how powerful that moment is? That night I got into bed. Richard fell asleep right away, but I lay there thinking until morning. I thought about Daniel. I thought about Richard. I thought about my life. 28 years. I was with Richard for 28 years. We didn't have children. Richard didn't want them. Children are too expensive, he said. And there's no time left for a career. I agreed. I always agreed. I had friends, but over time they dwindled. Richard didn't like them. They're too noisy, he'd say. I don't want them in our house. I slowly let them slip out of my life. I had hobbies. I loved to paint. I played the piano. But Richard said, "You're wasting your time." And I stopped. I stopped everything. And now what was left? A quiet house. A husband who didn't see me. Empty days. Have you ever lost yourself? Have you ever changed for someone, and then looked in the mirror and forgotten who you were? The next morning, Richard went to work. "I'll be late tonight," he said. "I'm meeting a new client." "Okay," I said. I didn't argue. I never did. When the door closed, I picked up my phone. Daniel's number was there. My finger hovered over it. I typed a message. "Can we meet again today?" I pressed send. I counted my heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. The phone vibrated. "Yes, same cafe. 3 o'clock?" "Okay." This time I went more prepared. I combed my hair, put on light makeup. I wore an old dress blue, Daniel's favorite color. I looked at myself in the mirror and maybe that old woman wasn't so bad after all. When I entered the cafe, Daniel was at the same table again. This time he smiled. You came. I came, I said. I sat down. Did you think about it? He asked. I did, I said. I thought about it all night. And I realized you were right. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for a long time. Then why are you staying? Because I'm afraid, I said. My voice trembled. Because I'm 63, Daniel. Because it's too late to start a new life. Because I don't know what to do. Daniel reached out and took my hand. It's never too late, Margaret. Never. And can I ask you something? Ask. Does Richard make you happy? No. No. Does he love you? My hesitation answered the question. Then why stay with him? Daniel said. Life is too short, Margaret. Too short. I learned that. After I left Linda, I lived alone for 5 years. For 5 years, I found myself. And now I'm ready. I'm ready to be with you. If you're ready too. But what will people say? Our families? Our friends? Does what they say matter? He asked. Or does your happiness matter? Which do you think is more important? What others think? Or your own happiness? I couldn't answer, because I knew the answer, but saying it was different. Give me some time, I said. Just a little more time. As much as you need, he said. But Margaret, can I say something? Go ahead. I love you. Still. Even after 30 years. And I'll love you every day, if you give me a chance. My tears came again, but this time I didn't wipe them away. I let them flow. When I got home, Richard was in front of the TV again. Another game, another beer. Where were you? He asked. Out, I said. Where? I went for a walk. He shrugged. Okay, when's dinner? I went to the kitchen. I made dinner. I set the table. I did everything just as I had done for 28 years. But Daniel was on my mind. Daniel's words, Daniel's hand, Daniel's love. After dinner, Richard went to his chair. I washed the dishes. Then I went upstairs, into the bedroom, and opened my drawer. At the bottom was an old box. I had put it there years ago. I opened it. Inside were photographs. Daniel and me. On the banks of the Charles River. We were laughing, young, happy, in love. I touched the photo. My fingers traced his face. What should I do? I whispered. Tell me. What should I do? But the photo didn't answer. Only I could answer. The next morning, before Richard left for work, we were drinking coffee at the table. He was reading something on his phone. I was looking at him. Richard, I said. He didn't look up. Can you talk to me? Now? I'll be late. Please, just 2 minutes. He sighed. He put down his phone. What is it? Are you happy? I asked. His eyebrows furrowed. What do you mean? In our marriage. With me. Are you happy? He thought, or pretended to think. Yes, I suppose. You suppose. Margaret, what's gotten into you? Why are you asking these questions? Because I need to know. I'm not happy, Richard. I haven't been happy for a long time. He stopped. He looked at me. He really looked at me. Maybe for the first time in years. Are you serious? Yes. But everything is fine. We have a nice house. I have money. What's missing? We are missing, I said. You and me. Our togetherness. When was the last time we laughed together? When was the last time we really talked? When was the last time you told me you loved me? Richard opened his mouth. Then he closed it. He had no answer. Do you see? I said. We're just existing. We're not living. We're getting old, Margaret. That's what happens when people get old. No, I said. It doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't be. Richard stood up. I'm going to work. We'll talk about this later. When? I asked. When will we talk, Richard? But he was already gone. The door slammed, his car started. He was gone. And I was left there, alone in the silent kitchen. That afternoon, I called Daniel again. Margaret? Can you meet me now? Of course. Where? Lake Champlain. On the shore, please. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The lake was calm. Waves lapped gently at the shore. Birds were chirping. The autumn sun hit the water, scattering golden light. Daniel arrived. He sat down next to me. We sat for a while without speaking. I talked to Richard, I said finally. What happened? He didn't understand. He doesn't understand. And I think he never will. Daniel turned his head and looked at me. What do you want to do, Margaret? I took a deep breath. I looked at the lake, at the waves, at the freedom. I'm scared, I said. I'm very scared. But at the same time, for the first time in a long time, I feel something. I feel alive. That's a good thing, Daniel said. Yes, but it's also scary. I know, but I'm with you, every step of the way. I turned to him. I looked into his eyes, those green, deep eyes, the eyes I fell in love with 30 years ago. If I do this, I said, if I leave Richard, there will be no turning back. I know. Everyone will judge me. His family, his friends, maybe even my own family. Maybe. But you, will you stay? Do you promise? Daniel took my hand, tightly. Margaret Ann, I swear to you, I'm not leaving this time. Never. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. If you want to spend it with me. What would you have done? Chosen a safe but unhappy life? Or an uncertain but passionate future? Yes, I said. Yes, Daniel. I want to be with you. And at that moment, 30 years later, he kissed me. His lips touched mine. And the world stopped. It was just us, Daniel and Margaret, past and future, love and courage. When I got home that evening, Richard was in front of the TV. As usual, I turned off the TV. Hey, I was watching the game. Richard, we need to talk. Margaret, I'm tired. We'll talk tomorrow. No, now. I looked at him. Really looked at him. I didn't know him anymore. Maybe I never had. I'm leaving, I said. He stopped. What? I'm leaving you, Richard. I want a divorce. He jumped up. Is this a joke? No, I've never been more serious. But why? What happened? 28 years, I said. For 28 years I tried to make you happy. I tried to be the woman you wanted. But now I'm tired, and I'm unhappy, and I deserve more. Is there someone else? He asked, his eyes narrowed. Is that why? My hesitation answered his question. Who is it? His voice rose. Who is it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter? My wife is cheating on me and it doesn't matter? I'm not cheating on you, Richard. Nothing has happened yet. But I found someone. Someone who sees me. Someone who hears me. And I've made my choice. Richard laughed angrily. You're 63, Margaret. You're not at an age to be playing at romance. That's the problem, I said. You always saw me as old, worn out, worthless. But I'm still alive, Richard. I still feel. I can still love. And someone can see that. This is madness. Maybe, I said. But it's my madness. And finally, I'm doing something for myself. Richard slammed his fist on the table. 28 years, Margaret. We were together for 28 years. I know. And in those 28 years, you never once asked how unhappy I was. Never. Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then Richard slumped into the chair. He buried his face in his hands. Don't. Please. Don't do this. And in that moment, for the first time, I felt sorry for him. Because he was lost too. Maybe even more than me. I'm sorry, I said, "but this is what's right for me." I went upstairs. I packed a suitcase. Only the essentials: clothes, photos, a few books. Richard never came out. He didn't even turn on the TV. He just sat there, in the dark. I brought my suitcase downstairs. I walked to the door. I stopped at the threshold. I looked back. "Goodbye, Richard," I said. He didn't answer. I closed the door and got into my car. As I drove away, I saw the house in the rearview mirror. My home of 28 years. But it wasn't my home anymore. I went to Daniel's apartment. It was a small place in Burlington, near the lake. When he opened the door, he smiled. "You came." "I came." He let me in. I put down my suitcase. We looked at each other for a while. "Aren't you scared?" he asked. "I'm scared to death," I said. "But at the same time, I'm alive. For the first time, I'm truly alive." He hugged me, tightly. And in that embrace, the weight of 30 years melted away. All the sadness, all the regret, all the lost time. "What happens now?" I asked. "I don't know," he said, "but we'll find out together. The divorce will be hard, contentious. Richard is angry. I know. But I'm here for you. People will talk. Let them talk." I smiled. For the first time in a long time, I truly smiled. 2 months later. The divorce process was difficult. Richard fought. Lawyers got involved. His family called me, saying it was shameful. Old friends texted, asking, "How could you?" But Daniel was there, every step of the way. And one day, I signed the court papers. It was officially over. 28 years ended with one signature. Daniel and I moved into a small apartment. In the heart of Burlington, we could see the lake from our window. We drank our coffee on the balcony in the mornings. We went for walks in the evenings. We talked. We laughed. We lived. One day, I started playing the piano again. Daniel got me an old piano. When my fingers touched the keys, the years melted away. The music came back. "Beautiful," Daniel said. "You were always beautiful." "You saw me," I said. "When no one else did, you did. And I will see you forever." A year later, Daniel and I got married in a small ceremony. By the lake, with just a few close friends. I wore a white dress, simple, elegant. Daniel looked handsome in his suit. As we read our vows, I shed tears. But this time, they were tears of happiness. "Margaret Ann," Daniel said, "we lost 30 years. But we have so much time ahead of us, and spending that time with you is my greatest gift." "And you," I said, "you are my everything, my past, my present, my future." When they married us, he kissed me. And in that kiss, the whole world disappeared. Now, I am 65 years old. My hair is completely gray. There are more lines on my face, but when I look in the mirror, I no longer see an old woman. I see a happy woman. Daniel and I walk by the lake every morning. In the evenings, we read books, listen to music. On Sundays, we have brunch. Life is simple, but beautiful. The last I heard, Richard had married someone else. A younger woman, Jennifer, the assistant at the office. I don't know if they're happy, but I hope they are. Everyone deserves happiness. My relationship with my family is complicated. Some understood, some didn't. But over time, most accepted it. Because they saw me. The new Margaret. The glowing, smiling Margaret. And Daniel. Daniel tells me he loves me every day. He sees me every day. He remembers me every day. That I am valuable. What about you? What do you choose in your life? A safe but unhappy path? Or a risky but passionate adventure? Because life is short. Very short. And age is just a number. What matters is not how long you live, how much you truly live. When someone tells you you're old, don't believe them. Because you never get old. You just get forgotten sometimes. Even by yourself. But it's never too late. Never. It's never too late to find yourself again. To love yourself again. To start over. I learned this at 63. When will you learn it? I hope this story has stirred something in you. Maybe a memory, maybe a feeling, maybe some courage. Share your thoughts in the comments. How did this story affect you? And from which city, which country are you listening? Hearing from you is very valuable to me. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm here for more stories, for more truth, more emotion, more life.